time we're done. Now, I don't know if his name is pronounced Kim. I'm going to call him Joe, or maybe call him Mr. Joachim Ander. Lived in the hundreds, and he was a smart aleck, and his father was the pastor, and he was going to invite any traveling. And so Joachim, or Mr. planned to sit in the front row and mock the. That was the. Well, he sat in the front row, and he started out, and then he got quiet, started to, and he actually planning to be a rat, walked out of there. Let's see. So he was 20 years old at that time, and he decided that he was going to go into. And so he started working toward being. Started out, he was, and then I guess you had to smile. That. Unfortunately, Mr. died. So he was only a Christian, but he did testing in that 10. Many of such a beautiful, and I am so that he sat in that front row that day, and that minister trust that all over that guy from the right this us. God chosen. So today we say, mighty, cares about you, and songs like amazing. That song, and yet, but that's how our God works. And not only that, but prophet, God made, and I don't know if you see, but they kind of call him a monk, not because he said something less than prophets. Only call him that because, right? Otherwise, his message was definitely not mine. But he had a lasting in my life. I'd like to, when you read the book, let's talk about Daniel. Working our way through the Bible with, and here we are with praise to the Almighty by a guy, a lasting. So Daniel lived in 100, 500. The kingdom of Judah was invaded and beaten by King around 65 BC. And at that time, some of the Jews and Daniel, now Jerusalem fell in 580, but by that time, most scholars believe that Daniel was 14 old. But he was probably from the royal family for Babylon. But his and his quiet, never in never does of or heads I want. I don't have it, I still I want it. So he could Isaiah prophet guy that he blinders. So let's read some from in chapter 1, verse. This is when Daniel had been brought into Babylon, him and Zion, Shadrach, ordered Asaph, the court, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family, young men without blemish, handsome, all wisdom, knowledgeable, quick to understand, and to teach them the. This means Daniel was now going to be asked for, going to be trained in language, going to stand in the staff of. Daniel had any right to understood that he was walking in God's will, however, walking in God's will, God was. Imagine being captive Taliban. And there's them saying, well, you know what? Instead of just killing you outright, I'm going to train you in all of our ways. God, get me out of this. How could you put me here? God, why are you doing talking about of this? But asked to on behalf of the Babylonians, now, and he was quiet about it. Go blabbing around to everybody. Well, I'm not. Say it like that. Daniel looked at the wired, but he would, I do want to accept. That was that. Found a way around it, and God about the kowtow, Azar, and Belshazzar's words, kowtow, how to chapter 6, the but statue, bow down to. So good full of I want to be. It says here in 10, they had built this statue, and the other called them, but they were scholars, wise men. Nebuchadnezzar had a whole flock of them, and they would Daniel, but obviously saw themselves. They managed into Darius, trick King Darius, saying everybody has to bow down to me. Don't bow down. That death. And the king signed it, not thinking he liked Daniel. Wise men thought, yeah, now, you know. And Daniel said, go ahead. And so they played the flute, played the harp, and they played the lyre, and everybody bowed down. Well, here's what Daniel did when they signed this. Sign this, death to. Now, when Daniel learned that the document had been signed, saying everybody who doesn't bow down dies, house where the windows of his upper room opened toward Jerusalem, and 3 times a day he got down on his knees, prayed, and God changed. Just kept blinders on, trusting God. If he died, then he didn't fuss. He didn't draw attention to himself. Those windows every single opened up to Jerusalem, and every single day people saw him on his knees praying to God. Nothing. Lion's den. Counting multiplication. Daniel's strength, Daniel's, because he was just so immediately kept going like the bunny, right? Just kept going and going, and from serving right, pagan stuff going all around him, walking with, like the walk with the world needs Daniel. How about you? Men and firm around me, blinders on. God told me to walk this path, walk it. What else happens? The whole world can be going to double it. So what we need, I believe we have a lot of dancers. There are a lot of dancers, along with people like Dan, for us to might not know, but I believe God's got a way for us to. God bring those to my path today. Grocery store, it might be the doctor's office. The car broke down and a guy car. If you ask God to bring life, share the gospel. I mean, there are just several people out there. Life that everybody wants to. A lot of people out there. But I do. Somebody who God will. But there's a lot of people that simply connect with you and see a real. There are. You know, wherever we go, we're with a lot of people There are so many people out there, we need to ask God, send them our way. Now, I've heard some, don't give someone the gospel, because once you give them the gospel, they're responsible. Once you give someone the gospel, they are responsible. They will, if they've never heard it, they're not responsible. People who haven't heard the gospel and die are still condemned. But guess what? They're condemned because they didn't bother to, right? What did Jesus say? Rather they were not or, but those who are lukewarm. God does not care for lukewarm. Rather someone be hot or cold. Would rather someone be all in for Jesus or all in would take more integrity. Someone who walks and talks. Someone who God has way more respect. So I think it's time to get the gospel. Going to want them to try to give the gospel. Oswald Chambers, I like it for ourselves. I have nothing to do with what will happen if I obey. Obey and someone reads the gospel. Says I have nothing to do with what will happen if I obey. I must abandon myself to God's call, unconditionally, smilingly wash my hands. God told us, Jesus told us, therefore go. All he asked those people reject the gospel, you've done your job. Someone might that happen. So never stop praying. Give them the gospel. So that's what Daniel did. He did what God told him to do, and bad for the. That's exactly what he did. His thing, went for it, and he like flint for Jerusalem, and he kept a walking, and all of the things around him, God had already all of those walking. That's what we put our Christian blinders on, our eyes on Jesus, rock, walking, try to get. That's our job. And if we do that, we can never know what it is. I'm sure idea. How could anyone? But when you and because they souls under the altar are crying out, "How long, God?" Clearly, they know that things have gone on the. I do believe. Let's go to prayer. Ask God to do that face that. Father, I thank you for our God and you desire to answer, trust, and obey. Quiet, go out in the or to hear the Lord. Either way, we boldness, pray it in the Amen, everyone? All right, let's go out and serve the Lord.